The torches flickered against the stone walls of the council chamber as Galinda's knees hit the cold floor. 5 elders sat elevated on their platform, their eyes gleaming with anticipation, and beyond them, the entire Silvercrest pack had gathered to witness what they believed would be her final humiliation. Her wrists bore fresh rope burns from being dragged through the compound, her simple dress torn at the shoulder, and her dark hair had come loose from its braid to fall around her face in tangled waves. Elder Mordecai rose from his center seat, his weathered hand gripping the ceremonial staff. "Galinda Ashworth, you stand accused of fraudulent Omega status and deception of the highest order." Her breath came in shallow gasps. This couldn't be happening. For 3 years, she'd kept her head down, worked in the pack kitchens, avoided attention. She'd watched Romeo, the powerful alpha of Silvercrest, from a distance, felt the inexplicable pull toward him that she'd buried deep, and told herself she was imagining things. Omegas didn't have fated mates with alphas. It was impossible. Before we continue, shout out to Sandra Diaz from San Jose, California. I appreciate your support. If you also want a shout out in my next werewolf romance story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and comment your name and which state you're watching from. Let's get back to the story. "The accused has refused to shift for verification since arriving in our territory," Elder Mordecai continued, his voice carrying to every corner of the packed chamber. "We have reason to believe she is hiding her true rank to infiltrate our pack, to spy, perhaps even to poison our alpha's mind." Galinda's head snapped up. "That's not true! I've never—" "Silence!" Elder Corinne's shrill voice cut through her protest. The female elder's lip curled with disgust. "You've bewitched half the kitchen staff with your pathetic act, playing the helpless Omega. But Sabina has brought evidence that proves you're something far more sinister." From the shadows, Sabina emerged, her red lips curved in a triumphant smile. The Beta's daughter had made Galinda's life miserable from the moment she'd arrived, seeing her as competition despite Galinda's lowly status. Sabina's emerald dress shimmered as she approached the elders, holding a leather-bound journal. "I found this hidden in her quarters," Sabina announced, her voice dripping with false concern. "It contains detailed observations about our pack's defenses, the Alpha's schedule, even drawings of the compound layout." Galinda's stomach dropped. The journal was real, but it wasn't what Sabina claimed. She'd been sketching to calm her anxiety, writing down recipes and observations about herbs, nothing sinister. But as she looked at the faces around her, the suspicion, the anger, the eagerness for a spectacle, she knew the truth wouldn't matter. "Enough!" The voice that rang out silenced every whisper, every breath. Romeo strode into the chamber, his presence commanding immediate attention. He was massive, well over 6 feet of pure muscle and authority, his dark hair slightly disheveled as though he'd been running. His gray eyes swept the room before landing on Galinda, and for a moment, something flickered in their depths. Concern? Recognition? It vanished too quickly to name. "Why was I not informed of this tribunal?" Elder Mordecai bowed his head slightly. "Alpha, we didn't wish to disturb you with such a minor matter. The Omega, her name is Galinda," Romeo cut him off, his jaw tight. "And any tribunal involving a pack member requires my presence. This is pack law." He moved closer, and Galinda felt her wolf stir for the first time in years, pressing against her consciousness with a desperate need to reach him. She forced it down, forced herself to remain still even as every instinct screamed at her to go to him. "Of course, Alpha," Elder Mordecai recovered smoothly. "Perhaps you can help us resolve this matter. The accused refuses to shift to verify her rank. We believe she may be a rogue spy, possibly even a cursed one sent to destroy us from within." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Cursed wolves were rare, their wolves twisted by dark magic, often sent by enemy packs to infiltrate and sabotage. The accusation was essentially a death sentence. Romeo's gaze hadn't left Galinda. She could feel the weight of it, the intensity that made her skin prickle with awareness. What evidence supports this accusation beyond a journal of drawings? Sabina stepped forward, her confidence unwavering. She's been here 3 years and never shifted, not once. What Omega can suppress their wolf for that long? And she's been watching you, Alpha. Several pack members have reported seeing her linger near your office, your training grounds. She's obsessed with you. Heat flooded Galinda's cheeks. It was true she'd been drawn to him, unable to help herself, but she'd never acted on it. Never spoken to him beyond the brief moments when he'd visited the kitchens. She was nothing. He was everything. The mate bond she suspected existed was probably her imagination, a desperate Omega's fantasy. That hardly constitutes evidence of espionage, Romeo said, but his eyes narrowed slightly. However, the refusal to shift is concerning. Galinda, why haven't you shifted? She met his gaze for the first time, and the impact of those gray eyes nearly stole her breath. The pull was overwhelming, her wolf clawing to get out, to show him what she was, but terror held her frozen. I can't. She admits it, Sabina crowed. A wolf who can't shift is either cursed or lying. Either way, she's a threat to this pack. Then we'll make her shift, Elder Corinne declared. Ancient law allows the elders to force a shift in matters of pack security. We'll use the moon ritual. Galinda's blood turned to ice. The moon ritual was barbaric, rarely used, involving a combination of silver-laced incense and forced exposure to full moonlight while surrounded by shifting pack members. The pressure could break a weak wolf's mind or force even the most resistant to shift. For someone like her, someone who'd been suppressing her true nature for so long, it could be catastrophic. That ritual hasn't been used in 50 years, Romeo's voice dropped to a dangerous growl. It's considered torture. These are desperate times, Alpha, Elder Mordecai stood firm. Unless you're willing to vouch for her personally, to claim her under your protection? The challenge hung in the air. Every eye turned to Romeo, then to Galinda. To vouch for her would be to stake his reputation, possibly his position, on an Omega nobody. The silence stretched, and Galinda felt her heart crack. Of course he wouldn't. Why would he? Romeo's jaw worked, muscles tensing beneath his skin. I will observe the ritual. If she shifts and proves to be Omega as claimed, this matter ends, and those who brought false accusations will face consequences. It wasn't protection, but it was something. Sabina's smile faltered slightly. The ritual will commence at moonrise, Elder Mordecai announced. Take the accused to the preparation chamber. Rough hands grabbed Galinda's arms, hauling her to her feet. She didn't resist as they dragged her from the council chamber, down the stone corridors to the ancient ritual room beneath the compound. The walls here were covered in faded pack symbols, the floor still stained from rituals past. They chained her wrists to iron rings embedded in the wall, the metal cold against her skin. As the guards left, locking the heavy door behind them, Galinda let herself slump against the wall. Her wolf was going insane inside her, thrashing and howling. She'd kept it contained for so long, ever since the night her old pack had been slaughtered, the night she'd discovered what she really was. Platinum wolves were myths, legends. Born once in 1,000 generations, they were said to be blessed by the moon goddess herself, possessing strength that rivaled Alpha's and the ability to heal or destroy with a touch. They were also hunted, coveted, destroyed by those who feared their power or wanted to possess it. Her mother had died protecting her secret, had made Galinda swear to hide, to pretend to be Omega, to never shift where others could see. For 16 years, she'd kept that promise. Then rogues had attacked, and in the chaos, she'd run. She'd wandered for months before stumbling into Silvercrest territory, half-starved and desperate. She'd claimed Omega status because it was safe, invisible. But from the moment she'd seen Romeo, her wolf had recognized him. Not just recognized, claimed him. He was her mate, her true mate, and every day spent near him without acknowledging the bond had been torture. Now she would shift, and everyone would see. The elders would try to kill her or chain her. Sabina would use it as proof of deception. And Romeo? What would Romeo do when he discovered his fated mate was something out of legend? The door opened hours later, and they came for her. The entire pack had gathered in the ritual grounds, a circular clearing surrounded by ancient stones. The full moon hung heavy in the sky, its light almost oppressive. They'd lit braziers around the circle, and the sickly sweet smell of silver-laced wolfsbane filled the air, making her wolf recoil. They released her chains only to force her to the center of the circle. Elder Mordecai stood at the northern point, the other 4 elders positioned at the cardinal directions. Romeo stood outside the circle, his face unreadable, flanked by his beta, Kieran, and several high-ranking warriors. "Let the moon ritual begin," Elder Mordecai intoned. "Galinda Ashworth, you will shift under the witness of the pack and the moon. If you refuse or cannot, you will be declared cursed and sentenced to death." "Please," Galinda tried one last time, her voice breaking. "Don't make me do this." "Shift!" Elder Corinne shrieked. The elders began to chant, old words in the ancient language. The pack members around the circle started shifting, their wolves emerging in waves of fur and power. The combined energy pressed against Galinda, the moon's pull strengthened by magic and ritual. Her wolf roared inside her, done with hiding, done with chains. "I can't control it," Galinda gasped, falling to her knees. "She's breaking," Sabina's voice carried from the crowd. "Soon we'll see what monster she really is." Romeo stepped forward, tension radiating from every line of his body. "Stop this! Something's wrong!" But it was too late. Galinda's wolf surged forward with 3 years of suppressed power behind it. The shift hit her like lightning, bones cracking and reforming. But instead of the usual pain, there was only burning power. White-hot energy poured through her veins as fur erupted across her skin. The gasp that went through the crowd was audible even through the thundering in her ears. She rose on 4 legs, and she was massive, larger than any wolf present except Romeo in his alpha form. But it was her coloring that shocked them into silence. She was platinum. Not white, not silver, but gleaming platinum that seemed to capture and reflect the moonlight, making her appear to glow. Her eyes burned molten gold, and power radiated from her in waves that made nearby wolves whimper and submit. "Impossible," Elder Mordecai breathed. "A platinum wolf," someone in the crowd whispered, and the whisper became a murmur, became a wave of shock and fear. "Galinda!" Romeo's voice cut through the chaos. He'd shifted partially, his eyes wolf gold and fixed on her with an intensity that made her wolf preen despite the circumstances. Sabina recovered first, her face twisting with rage. "You see? She's been deceiving us all along. She's probably here to overthrow the Alpha, to take the pack for herself. Kill her now before she destroys us." Several warriors shifted nervously, torn between ingrained fear of platinum wolves and the protocol of waiting for their Alpha's command. Elder Corinne's face had gone pale, but her eyes gleamed with a different kind of hunger. We must contain her. A platinum wolf could be a powerful asset if properly controlled. There are ways to bind such creatures, ancient magics. No one touches her. Romeo's voice was pure alpha authority, stopping everyone in their tracks. He fully shifted, his massive black wolf stepping into the circle. He was huge, but even he looked almost ordinary next to her platinum form. Galinda's wolf wanted to go to him, to press against his side and feel his warmth, but she forced herself to stay still. She'd revealed herself. Everything was over. The best she could hope for was a quick death. Romeo circled her slowly, his wolf's gaze assessing. When he got close enough, she felt it, the mate bond snapping into place with the force of a lightning strike. It had been there all along, muted and hidden, but now with both of them in wolf form, it blazed to life. She could feel his emotions, shock, recognition, possessiveness, and underneath it all, a fierce protectiveness that made her wolf whine softly. He shifted back to human form, standing before her without an ounce of fear. The crowd held its collective breath. "Shift back, Galinda. Now." It wasn't a request. It was an alpha command, but softened by something else. Trust, perhaps. She let her wolf recede, the shift back easier than any she'd ever experienced. Within seconds, she stood before him on shaky human legs, very aware that she was in a torn dress, surrounded by hundreds of pack members who now knew exactly what she was. "Get her a cloak," Romeo barked at Kieran, never taking his eyes off her. His beta moved immediately, returning with a heavy fur cloak that Romeo wrapped around her shoulders himself. His hands lingered, warm and steady. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I couldn't. I didn't know if you'd believe me. If you'd want—" She couldn't finish. "If I'd want my mate?" His words were soft but carried in the shocked silence. "The moon goddess herself gifted you to me, and you thought I wouldn't want you?" The confession sent shockwaves through the assembly. Sabina made a strangled sound of fury. Elder Mordecai found his voice first. "Alpha, platinum wolves are dangerous, unstable. Perhaps the mate bond is a deception, a trick of her magic. Are you questioning the moon goddess?" Romeo's tone could have frozen fire. He turned to face the elders, positioning himself protectively in front of Galinda. "I felt the mate bond the day she arrived. I've been watching her for 3 years, waiting for her to trust me enough to reveal herself. I knew she was hiding something, but I never imagined this." "3 years?" Kieran spoke up, his expression stunned. "Alpha, you've known she was your mate for 3 years and said nothing?" "She was terrified. I could smell her fear every time I came near. I wasn't going to force a bond on someone who was clearly running from something." Romeo's gaze returned to Galinda, softer now. "I was waiting for you to feel safe enough to tell me yourself." Tears burned in Galinda's eyes. He'd known. All this time he'd known, and he'd waited. He'd protected her in small ways she hadn't even recognized, assigning her to the safest kitchen shifts, ensuring she had decent quarters, keeping Sabina and others from harassing her too overtly. "How touching," Sabina spat, pushing forward through the crowd. "But it doesn't change what she is. Platinum wolves have destroyed entire packs. They're touched by dark magic, cursed." "Finish that sentence, and you'll regret it." Romeo's eyes flashed wolf gold. "Platinum wolves are blessed by the moon goddess, chosen for their purity and strength. The fact that you'd call my mate cursed is an insult not just to her, but to me and to the goddess herself." But the journal, the spying, I drew herbs and recipes. Galinda found her voice, stronger now with Romeo beside her. I sketched the gardens because I like plants. I was never spying. Kieran, retrieve the journal, Romeo ordered. His beta disappeared and returned minutes later with the leather-bound book. Romeo flipped through it, his expression shifting from stern to almost amused. These are recipes, very detailed recipes, and garden layouts, and... He paused on one page, a slight smile tugging at his mouth. Several sketches of me training. Galinda flushed crimson. Those drawings had been her secret comfort, done late at night when she couldn't sleep for thinking of him. My mate was watching me because she was drawn to me, as I was to her. This is evidence of a mate bond, not espionage. He closed the journal and handed it back to Kieran. This tribunal is over. The accusations were false, likely motivated by jealousy and malice. His gaze swept to Sabina, who'd gone pale. Sabina Fletcher, you brought false accusations against my mate, endangered her life, and violated pack law. You have 1 hour to gather your belongings and leave Silvercrest territory. You're banished. No, you can't! My father is your beta. My family has served this pack for generations. Your father is a loyal pack member who will be ashamed of what you've done. You may petition for return in 1 year, after which I'll consider whether you've learned respect and humility. Until then, you are exiled. Warriors moved to escort Sabina away, her protests fading as they dragged her from the ritual grounds. Galinda watched, not feeling the satisfaction she'd expected, just relief that the immediate threat was gone. Elder Mordecai cleared his throat. Alpha, the matter of what to do about a platinum wolf in our pack remains. The other packs will hear of this. Some may see her as a threat, others as a prize to be claimed. Then let me make this absolutely clear to everyone present, and to any other pack who might have ideas. Romeo turned to Galinda, his eyes intense. Galinda Ashworth is my true mate, blessed by the moon goddess. She is under my protection, my claim, and my love. Any who threaten her threaten me. Any who seek to harm her will face me. He took her hand, his touch sending sparks along her skin. I, Romeo Dante, Alpha of Silvercrest Pack, claim Galinda Ashworth as my mate and future Luna, before the pack and the moon goddess. Do you accept this claim, Galinda? Everything she'd feared, everything she'd hidden for so long, came down to this moment. She looked into his eyes and saw absolute certainty, unwavering devotion, and something that looked a lot like love. I accept. The mate bond flared between them, visible now as golden light that wrapped around both their bodies. Romeo pulled her close, one hand cupping her face. I've waited 3 years to do this. He kissed her, and it was nothing like she'd imagined. It was better. The bond sang between them, power and emotion intertwining until she couldn't tell where she ended and he began. The pack erupted in howls of celebration, the sound rising to the moon. When they finally broke apart, Romeo kept her tucked against his side. Tomorrow night, we'll hold the Luna ceremony. Galinda will take her rightful place as Luna of Silvercrest, and any who cannot accept a platinum wolf in this position may leave with honor and my blessing. But know this, she is the strongest mate I could have asked for, and with her at my side, Silvercrest will become legendary. Elder Mordecai bowed deeply, followed by the other elders. We will prepare the ceremony, Alpha. As the crowd began to disperse, Kieran approached with a wide grin. Well, this explains why you've been impossible to live with for 3 years. I thought you were just getting old and cranky. I'm 32. Like I said, old. Kieran's expression softened as he looked at Galinda. Welcome to the family, Luna. We're glad to finally have you. More pack members approached, offering congratulations and submission to their new Luna. Galinda was overwhelmed by the acceptance, by the way they looked at her with respect instead of fear. Romeo's presence beside her, solid and unwavering, kept her grounded. Finally, when the ritual grounds had mostly cleared, Romeo guided her away from the crowd toward the Alpha's residence. You need rest. Tomorrow will be intense. I don't know how to be a Luna. You'll learn. Besides, you've been organizing the kitchen staff for 3 years. Leading a pack isn't so different. Just more politics and less soup. Despite everything, she laughed. The sound felt foreign and wonderful. They entered their home, and Galinda was struck by how warm and lived in it was. She'd imagined the Alpha's residence would be cold and formal, but it was filled with comfortable furniture, shelves of books, and windows overlooking the forest. Romeo led her to a sitting room where a fire already crackled in the hearth. He sat on the couch and tugged her down beside him, keeping her close. Tell me everything. Why you were hiding, what happened to your old pack, why you were so afraid. So she did. She told him about growing up knowing she was different, about her mother's warnings, about the night rogues attacked and she'd watched her pack die. She told him about wandering alone, terrified of what she was, until she'd found Silvercrest. She explained how she'd felt the mate bond immediately, but convinced herself it was impossible, that she was imagining things. You've been alone, terrified, thinking you were cursed for all this time? It wasn't a question. His arms tightened around her. You're not cursed, Galinda. You're blessed, powerful, perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm scared most of the time. I don't know how to control my wolf, how to use whatever power I'm supposed to have. We'll figure it out together. That's what mates do. He tilted her chin up to meet his gaze. I love you. I've loved you since the first time I saw you in the kitchen. Flour on your nose, laughing at something one of the other Omegas said. You lit up the room. You still do. I love you too. I've loved you for so long, but I didn't think I could ever tell you. You can tell me anything. You can be anything. Omega, Platinum Wolf, Luna. None of it matters as much as the fact that you're mine and I'm yours. He kissed her again, slower this time, deeper. The mate bond pulsed between them, warm and right. When they broke apart, Galinda felt something settle inside her, a peace she'd never known. The next day passed in a blur of preparations. Pack members brought her dresses to try on, taught her the formal protocols for the Luna ceremony, and answered her hundreds of nervous questions. Romeo stayed close, his presence calming even as the magnitude of what was happening threatened to overwhelm her. Elder Corinne appeared in the late afternoon, surprising Galinda as she dressed for the ceremony. The elder's expression was difficult to read. Luna, I wanted to apologize. For yesterday, for the tribunal. I let fear guide me instead of wisdom. You wanted to bind me, to control me. Yes, I was wrong. The elder looked genuinely remorseful. Platinum wolves haven't been seen in over 800 years. The stories we have are fragmented, half legend. I reacted to myth instead of seeing the person before me. And now? Now I see a strong young woman who survived impossible odds, who's been more loyal to this pack in 3 years of hiding than some who've been here their whole lives. I see my Luna. Elder Corinne bowed deeply. I pledge my service to you, Galinda Dante. The use of Romeo's surname sent a thrill through her. Tonight, she would officially take his name, his rank, his life. Thank you, Elder. Your wisdom will be valued. As evening fell, they led her to the ceremonial clearing, different from the ritual grounds of the previous night. This space was sacred, used only for the most important pack gatherings. Hundreds of candles illuminated the area, and the entire pack had assembled, dressed in their finest. Romeo waited at the center, devastating in formal black, his eyes locked on her as she approached. The pack parted for her, bowing as she passed. She wore a gown of silver silk that seemed to shimmer like her wolf's fur, her dark hair adorned with a crown of moonflowers. When she reached Romeo, he took her hands. You're breathtaking. You're not bad yourself. Elder Mordecai stepped forward, carrying the Luna's crown, an ancient circlet of platinum that seemed to have been waiting for this exact moment. We gather under the full moon to witness the crowning of our new Luna. Galinda Ashworth, you have been chosen by the moon goddess herself to lead beside our Alpha. Do you accept the responsibilities of Luna, to protect this pack, to guide our people, to stand as an equal to the Alpha in all things? I accept. Do you swear to uphold pack law, to defend the weak, to serve with honor and wisdom all your days? I swear. Then by the power vested in me by the moon goddess and this pack, I crown you Luna of Silvercrest. He placed the platinum crown on her head, and the moment it touched her, power surged through her. The bond between her and Romeo blazed brighter, connecting them to every pack member present. She could feel them all, their loyalty, their acceptance, their hope. It was overwhelming and beautiful. Romeo stepped forward, producing a Luna Mark necklace, a pendant in the shape of a crescent moon embedded with diamonds. This belonged to my mother, and her mother before her. It's been waiting for you. He fastened it around her neck, and the pack erupted in howls. Romeo kissed her, sealing the bond completely, and Galinda felt her wolf rise to the surface, merging with her human consciousness in perfect harmony. She was whole for the first time in her life. I present to you Luna Galinda Dante, blessed platinum wolf, and my true mate. The celebration that followed lasted into the early hours. Pack members approached to pledge their loyalty, to welcome her officially, to share stories and laughter. Galinda met them all with growing confidence, Romeo's steady presence beside her anchoring her through it all. As the party wound down, Romeo pulled her away to a private balcony overlooking the packlands. The moon hung low in the sky, bathing everything in silver light. How does it feel to be Luna? Like I finally found where I belong. She leaned into him, his arms wrapping around her waist. For so long, I thought being platinum meant I had to hide, had to be alone. I never imagined it could mean this: acceptance, love, home. You gave me all of that too. I was a good alpha, but I was alone, going through the motions. You changed everything. He turned her to face him. I have something else for you. He produced a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring, platinum of course, with a massive diamond that caught the moonlight. I know we're already mated, already bound, but I wanted to do this right. Galinda Dante, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice in accepting me? Yes. Always, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, and she kissed him with everything she had. The future stretched before them, full of challenges and responsibilities, but also joy and love and the kind of partnership she'd only dreamed of. A month later, they married in a ceremony that brought together packs from across the region. Word had spread about the platinum wolf Luna, and instead of fear or covetousness, there was curiosity and respect. Galinda stood before their guests in a gown of white and platinum, Romeo beside her in his formal regalia, and pledged herself to him before the moon goddess and all their allies. The treaty negotiations that followed established Silvercrest as a powerful force, other packs eager to ally with a pack blessed by a platinum wolf. Galinda discovered her abilities slowly. She could heal injuries with a touch, could sense threats before they materialized, could channel power through the pack bonds to strengthen every member. She wasn't a weapon, as the legend suggested. She was a guardian, a protector, exactly what the moon goddess intended. Sabina never returned to petition for re-entry. They heard she'd joined a pack to the north, finally finding humility in a place where her family name meant nothing. Elder Corinne became one of Galinda's strongest advisors. Her initial fear transformed into genuine respect and affection. The other elders followed suit, grateful for a Luna who brought not just power, but wisdom and compassion to her role. 6 months after the Luna ceremony, Galinda stood in the same council chamber where she'd once faced a tribunal, but this time she was elevated on the platform beside Romeo, addressing the pack about expansion plans and new alliances. She caught his eye mid-sentence, and he smiled at her with such love and pride that she had to pause to collect herself. After the meeting, as they walked through the compound toward their home, pack members greeted them with warmth and respect. Children played in the square, safe and happy under their leadership. The scent of dinner cooking drifted from the pack kitchens where Galinda still occasionally helped, enjoying the normalcy of it. "You were brilliant today. The way you handled Elder Tomas's objections about the northern border, I just pointed out the obvious solution. You saw what no one else did. You always do." He pulled her close as they entered their private garden. "I have news. Good news, I hope?" "The healer confirmed it this morning. You're pregnant." Galinda's breath caught. They'd hoped, had been trying, but hearing it confirmed made it real. "We're having a baby?" "We're having a baby." He lifted her up and spun her around, both of them laughing. "A platinum wolf pup. Our child. What if they're like me? What if they're scared?" "Then we'll teach them they're perfect exactly as they are. We'll teach them strength and compassion. They'll grow up knowing they're loved and valued, not something to hide." He set her down gently, his hands cradling her face. "They'll have the best mother in the world to show them the way." Tears streamed down Galinda's face, but they were happy tears. Everything she'd feared, everything she'd hidden from, had led her here, to this man, this pack, this life. The moon goddess had known what she was doing all along. "I love you, Romeo Dante. I love you, Galinda Dante. My mate, my Luna, my everything." As the sun set over Silvercrest territory, they stood together in their garden, his hand on her still flat stomach, planning for a future that was brighter than any she'd dared imagine. She was no longer the frightened girl who'd hidden her true nature. She was Luna, mother-to-be, platinum wolf blessed by the goddess. She was finally, completely, home. Did you like the story? Do you want a part 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, tell us which state you're watching from so I can give you a shout out in the next video. Shout out to our friends from Milan, New Mexico, London, UK, Xenia, Ohio, Western North Carolina, Massachusetts, Queensland, Australia, Lewis, Scotland, Central Florida, San Jose, California, and more. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay updated on our next uploads. Thanks for watching.